There are seasons in life when the chairs at our table grow emptier, when the voices that once filled our days grow faint, and when footsteps we thought would walk beside us forever turn and take another path. At first, we mistake this for loss, for rejection, for the cruel hand of fate tearing apart what was once knit together. But if we pause long enough to look with clearer eyes, we begin to see that departures often carry with them a strange mercy. People leave not always because of anger or betrayal, but because the story written for your soul cannot be told with every character remaining on the stage. Some are only meant to speak a few lines into your life before the author calls them away. And though we may plead for them to stay, the play would not unfold rightly if they did. Their absence, painful though it feels, becomes the necessary space through which new voices and truer companions can enter. We are so prone to cling, to imagine that love and loyalty are proved by permanence. Yet permanence on earth is an illusion, and to demand it of fragile hearts is to build a house of glass and complain when it shatters. The truth is that some will leave because they cannot follow you where you are going, and others will leave because the weight of their journey demands a different road. You are not diminished by their absence, nor are they condemned for departing. Each of you is being drawn by unseen hands toward the place you most belong. If they are leaving your life now, it is because the timing is precise. The doors that shut before you do, so that others might open more widely. The silence left in their wake is not empty, but a clearing, an invitation for you to hear the still, small voice that speaks only when the noise of the crowd has faded. And though your heart may grieve, let it also trust that the one who writes the story wastes no pages and leaves no endings unfinished. Not every person in your life is meant to stay for the whole journey. Not every person in your life is meant to stay for the whole journey. And though this truth feels heavy at first, it holds within it a quiet kind of freedom. We are often tempted to measure the value of relationships by their length, believing that true love or true friendship must endure until the final page of our story. Yet the reality of life whispers otherwise. Some souls are given to us for a chapter, not the entire book, and their purpose is no less important because of its brevity. They may arrive at a moment when your heart is weary, when encouragement is scarce, or when laughter is needed more than breath itself. They bring with them what was required for that season, and then they depart, leaving behind echoes that continue to shape you even when their presence has faded from view. It is a difficult thing to release the grip we keep upon people, for our hearts are not skilled at letting go. We cling not because it is always right, but because the ache of absence feels unbearable. And yet, to force someone to remain when their part of the journey is complete is to hold them hostage, and in doing so, we lose the very beauty they were meant to give us. Their leaving is not proof that they were unworthy or that you were insufficient, but simply that the road you now must walk requires a different companion, or perhaps solitude itself for a time. The truth is that we often do not understand the weight of another person's calling, nor the path that beckons them away. What looks like desertion may in fact be obedience to a higher purpose, one that intertwines with your own in ways you cannot yet perceive. When a door closes, when a bond loosens, when a familiar hand no longer reaches for yours, it is tempting to despair. But pause and remember that journeys diverge not to punish you but to guide you. In the mystery of life, departures are not accidents but carefully woven threads in the tapestry of becoming. Each person plays their role, and when the time comes for them to step off the stage, it is not the end of the story but a transition to the next scene that waits in the wings. You were never promised that every voice would remain beside you, but you are promised that no departure can strip away what was meant to shape you forever. Departures often prepare the way for greater growth and truer companions. Departures often prepare the way for greater growth and truer companions, though in the moment it seldom feels like a gift. When someone walks out of your life, the first sensation is loss, a hollowing of the heart that makes the world seem smaller. But in time, if you are willing to look beyond the ache, you will see that the space they leave behind is not a void but an opening. It is in this opening that you are invited to grow into a stronger, wiser, and more grounded version of yourself. When familiar voices fall silent, you are compelled to listen to your own. When familiar support is withdrawn, you discover strength you did not know you carried. What feels like subtraction is often preparation for multiplication. The absence of certain people can sharpen your vision, stripping away distractions that once clouded your path. Sometimes those around you keep you bound to an old version of yourself, whether by habit, expectation, or fear of change. Their departure loosens the ties, allowing you to step forward into the unfamiliar ground where real transformation occurs. Growth demands space, and sometimes the only way to make room is through the closing of chapters that once felt essential. It is not cruelty, but kindness in disguise, that clears the way for new opportunities, new lessons, and deeper truths to take root. As for companions, departures often act as a hidden filter. Not everyone who enters your life has the capacity to walk with you through every valley or climb with you to every peak. Some remain only for a season because their purpose is complete, while others are removed because their presence would hinder what lies ahead. The heartache of watching them go is balanced by the promise that those who are meant to journey further with you will appear at the right moment. These truer companions will not merely comfort you for a while, but will challenge you, lift you, and see the person you are becoming rather than the person you once were. It is in these transitions that you learn not to fear departures, but to trust their design. What feels like loss is often rearrangement. What feels like rejection is often redirection. Each goodbye, no matter how painful, becomes the soil in which something richer can grow, something more aligned with your purpose and more enduring for your soul. The companions who remain, and those yet to come, will be those who truly belong. Every ending is a divine redirection, not a final loss. Every ending is a divine redirection, not a final loss, though at first the heart resists believing it. We see the closing of a relationship, the departure of a friend, or the unraveling of a bond as the conclusion of something irreplaceable. Yet what seems like the end is often the gentle turning of a page we would not have turned ourselves. Life, under the watchful hand of Providence, does not waste pain nor allow doors to close without purpose. An ending is not a punishment but a steering, a hidden compass pointing you away from what no longer serves your soul toward what will. In the moment, however, endings feel sharp, almost cruel. We mourn what we thought would last. We replay memories like fragile glass, afraid they will shatter if we set them down. But if you step back, you begin to see that every ending carves out space for something greater. What leaves you was not meant to anchor your future, and what remains is exactly what is needed to sustain you for the road ahead. Redirection is not always welcomed, but it is always necessary, for without it we would settle too easily, rooted in places too small for the growth our lives demand. The truth is that our perspective is often too narrow to grasp the larger design. We measure loss only by what we can see, forgetting that unseen doors are being prepared, unseen paths are being opened. To lose a person, a place, or even a dream is not to lose meaning, but to be shifted into alignment with a purpose we cannot yet understand. Divine redirection is rarely gentle, but it is always precise, and when the ache of departure fades, clarity comes rushing in to show us why it had to be so. What you call an ending may, in fact, be the very beginning of the chapter you have been waiting for. The road you were walking could not carry you any further, and so it narrowed until you could no longer ignore the sign to turn. That turn, though painful, is the reason you will find yourself in new company, in new strength, in new opportunities. The divine hand writes with endings not to strip you of joy, but to guide you toward a joy that would never have been found otherwise.